speedometer and you're going about 30 and you're like, come on, come on.
Done. Screw you, Chevy. Done.
Slides down the side of it, you can hear it.
Everything that I've ever owned has always been for work. So today we're going to be talking about Chevy, GMC, and Ford, but from the perspective of how will they hold up to the daily use and grind of a job site. And we're going to be more importantly talking about one of the worst trucks that I've ever owned and one of the best trucks that I've ever owned, and the whole story of why I started to buy 15 Fords and then didn't like them after that. So what are we waiting for? Let's just start talking trucks. Chevy or Dodge?
Oh man.
Ha! What do you think?
What is this?
I'm thinking about going back to Chevy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they've probably come a long way since that GMC you had.
So the worst truck I ever had.
Oh, that's the GMC. The thing was had a dump box on it.
Yep.
A little dump box. It was a 3500. It was a diesel, but I don't think the turbo worked very good on it. I can't remember. It was a long time ago.
Nothing worked good on that truck. And when we pulled the trailer, when we put a skid loader on it,
Yep.
and tried to pull the trailer up a hill, what did it do?
Especially down on 35W, we used to snowplow down there, but you have the snowplow on. There's a little bit of sand in the back of the box there, and then the skid steer on a trailer. So I'd be at the top of the hill, and I'd gun it. I'd get going as fast as I could down the hill, because the next set of hills was, it was just a long climb. So by the time you'd be on the freeway, and you'd be about 3/4 of the way up the hill, and you'd look at your speedometer and you're going about 30, and you're like, come on, come on.
All right, so that GMC wasn't actually the worst truck we've ever had. It was the most gutless truck that we've ever experienced, but not worse, because it kept at least chugging along. Albeit it couldn't pull a trailer up a hill like the one you see behind me. Not this one here, but the steeper hill. But that doesn't make it the worst. The award for the worst truck we've ever had actually belongs to Chevy. So let me tell you about that right now. The old Chevy we went through 7 transmissions on that truck. Yes, 7 transmissions, and some of you guys are gonna ask me, well, why would you go through
7?
Why would you go through 7? Because we went through 4 engines and 4 or 5 differentials. So what would happen is the transmission would go, and we would put a brand new transmission in, and then like 6 months later the engine would go, and we're like, we just put a new transmission in, so we'll put a new engine in because we got a new transmission. And then the diff would go, so we would put the diff in because we got a new engine and a new transmission. And then the flipping transmission would go again. We're like, oh my God, this cycle's gotta stop, because now we've got a new engine and a new diff, so now we'll put a new, and it was just kept round robining us until we're just finally like, done. Screw you, Chevy. Done. So while we were going through this entire cycle of engine out, transmission out, differential out, then the engine, the truck actually ended up starting on fire. And we ended up pulling all of the wiring out of the truck and rebuilding that as well. So we would always have brand new components invested into the truck, making it just over the tipping point of where you don't want to give up on it, because there's so many other good things in the truck. Until finally enough was enough one day, and we just said, we can't keep doing this. And of course, during this entire process, Chevy never offered to help us out at all. When, now that we're talking about Chevy fire stories, then my actually Chevy fire story doesn't end with that truck. My wife, who was a diehard Chevy fan, insisted on getting a Chevy Blazer, which we did. And that started itself on fire in our driveway. It was an interior fire, and we didn't even know what happened because it put itself out. We just woke up the next morning and found out that every window in our Chevy Blazer was pitch black and kind of wondering what the heck is going on. When we went up to open up the door, it was just cooked from the inside out, but luckily it put itself out. An inspector that came out and took a look at the, well, that's a Jeep, but took a look at the Chevy, said a lot of times what happens is as soon as you open up the door, the vehicle will get that burst of fresh air and either erupt in flames or explode. Thankfully for us, it put itself out before either of those things happen. And of course, long story short, Chevy didn't do a darn thing to help us out on that one either.
Well, when you bought the Ford, the 7.3, I don't know what year, I think it was a 99 or a 2000. Yeah.
Yes.
And then
that launched us into Ford.
That thing was loaded up and you couldn't even tell. You couldn't even compare it. So that was compared to the GMC.
Yeah,
you know?
so we went
maybe
from the
not
GMC,
a fair comparison because GMC was, I don't know if
we
they
went
were
for
there
the
yet.
top of the line GMC diesel.
Yeah.
To the Ford, which we had no experience with diesel.
But you didn't even you couldn't even tell that skid steer was behind you with the Ford. It didn't register.
Didn't register.
Yeah,
I mean, you could do anything you want with that Ford.
Yep, plenty of power.
Just kept going, good fuel economy, reliable as the day is long. There was everything right about that Ford.
And that's why you went through how many Fords now? So, yeah. You said, I think, would you say 15 or something like that?
I don't know. It's been way too many. We've had Fords for like a year and then sold them because I had a brand new Ford that bought it. Hey, you remember that red dually with the leather seats we had? That was
a super nice truck.
Yeah, and it would sit in my driveway and half the time it wouldn't fire up. I couldn't get the key to even turn on. Brand new truck. Yeah, I'm just like, okay, you're going back, selling you. So guess who's having another baby, guys? How many is that for? How many is that for you now, Tim?
Before. I think I'd figure out kids' toys by now and car seats and how to fold them up.
You know, before you pull the trigger on buying yourself a Chevy, a GMC, or a Ford, don't do it based on this video, but do it based on the comments below this video, because just below this video is a ton of resources from guys across the entire country putting these trucks to work in very specific applications, and they're sharing their stories, both good and bad. So maybe you're looking for a certain year, make, or model, and you don't know if it's right for you. Well, the guys, they get very descriptive and very passionate about their trucks, and they're sharing their stories below this video. Look that up before you go and make your decision on your own, one that you may eventually regret. Kind of like the 14 other Fords that I bought. I did have that good one though.
I heard that the 6.7's pretty awesome in the Ford now. That's been around, I don't know the exact date when that came out, but I haven't heard of anybody bitching and complaining about it.
Well, okay, but I don't trust them anymore, because when I bought that truck right there, told me I was going to get 18, 20 miles a gallon. I'm driving down.
No, you don't get that on
Dude,
that
I was driving down the road getting 12, and I'm calling the dealer. I'm like, hey, you know, I'm getting 12. Am I doing something wrong? Just trying to feel him out. He's like, oh no, you just got to break it in.
Yeah.
Like 500 miles later, I'm still getting 12. 1,500 miles, 10,000 miles later, and now 124,000 miles later, I'm still getting 12. Hey dealer, when does that get done being broke in?
300,000.
Because
That's what I heard.
But these are good trucks. I actually like these F-250s, these gassers. So even though these two gassers so far have been actually pretty good trucks, reliable, and delivering just enough power to get the job done, I still consider it fairly early in the game. These trucks are only 3 years old, and both of them have under 40,000 miles on them. The test of time really hasn't been able to actually happen yet. Ask me in about 2 or 3 years when they got 60, 70,000 miles or approaching 100,000 miles how these trucks are holding up. If the results that they've given me so far haven't changed, then I'm gonna fall in love with these trucks. But right now, it's still a little early in the game. What do you think of them?
Yeah, they're just tough on gas.
Hey guys, just got done driving 150 freeway miles, and I'm getting 8.9 miles per gallon. They're tough on gas, but they've been a decent truck.
Little things add up on when you try too nice of a truck. But
Worst part is when you give it to the crews, and it's not even their truck anymore, then they don't try. What do they do?
Start leaning like shovels and rakes up against the side of the truck.
The worst was
scratching up the
hold this once. The worst was when I had the truck. I'm like, hey, load up the side of the truck, guys. Now I'm, you know, barefoot in shorts right now. They put their foot up here to climb over the side of the truck right in front of me. I don't remember.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never even seen that before. Don't you step on the
dually?
tire?
Dude, no, it was a regular pickup truck. Stepped on the tire, then stepped on the fender. Oh my God, I'm just like, how, what?
You need a step ladder?
What, hello? There's a tailgate, oh God. Some of the crap I've seen.
Wow.
It's just,
Yeah, I just hate when they set shovels and rakes and stuff. You catch that. Or a
dirty,
4-foot
muddy,
level, or,
sandy
like,
rakes. It slides down the side of it. You can hear
Yep.
it.
How'd the scratch get there? I don't know.
we had one guy take my brand new dually truck and tore the dually, one of the dualies right off. Now I plowed with the truck for up to that point like 7 or 8 years, not a scratch on it. I leave town, he hops in it, the dually tore off. Then I knew a guy that we had a big snowstorm and he buried my red truck in the snow.
It wasn't my fault that the TLB just kept running over a big pile and made a chunk of ice this big, so I go to try and scrape it off with the truck, and it apparently had a little too much weight, and the plow just jumped up, and then the wheels, I was on ice now, so there's no way I'm getting out.
Of course it wasn't his fault. Somebody else was driving it.
Yeah. No, it was the TLB.
It was the other guy and the other pieces of equipment that wasn't stuck. That was his fault.
Yeah,
Is that how that works?
That's how it works.
All right, now I understand it better. So
the blame keeps getting
just pass it along. It's always somebody else's fault. All right, so you guys tell me in the comments down below, Dodge or Chevy? Ford ain't happening. God bless you guys. Go get them.
I don't know, man. You should go test drive a 6.7 compared to the Cummins, just to see what the difference is.
No, you can't test drive them and expect to understand anything. It's the test of time. That's the difference.
True.
It's the test of time. They're all gonna feel awesome. They're gonna have that brand new car smell. You're gonna get in, you're gonna go, oh, this seat feels so good and it handles so nice. It's got brand new brakes and brand new tires. I mean, if you hop in a brand new truck and you're not blown away, then they've done something wrong. Yeah. But still love that truck in 5 years of work. And we've already tested enough of these things out to say enough is enough.